stuff from the agents. Okay? Now, if you have a very large environment, you have a few hundred servers, you may not want to have just a single server. Then you split. So you may want to have a database server, a root management server, and another management server to load balance. Right? So it really depends on the environment. Few servers, single server is fine. Right? I'm running everything in a virtual environment. Right? So it is supported, by the way. Operations Manager is supported on any virtual environment, not only Hyper-V. So I'm running in my Hyper-V. Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Since I have everything in server service,
okay.
I have server.
Yes.
I still have all them working independently.
Your SharePoint server? Yes. Yeah.
So in that case, I still consider only one server.
Oh, okay. So the question is, in her environment, she has 6 SharePoint servers. Then does she need to consider the multiple operations manager server? Based on 6 servers, I will just tell you 1 server. Yeah, it is enough. I've done 1 server implementations to monitor 200 servers. Right, it's fine. Then you have agents in every. Yeah.
So you have to install the agent on the servers that you are monitoring.
Okay, question is, do I have to install agents on server monitoring? Yes. So for every server that you monitor, there's an agent. Just in case you're wondering, alright, just let me share this with you. Okay, let's say a SharePoint server. A lot of people ask me what is the agent footprint. Okay, this is the process that runs for the agent, monitoring host.exe, and this particular instance has 2. Right? So this one takes about 4 meg of RAM, and there's another one that takes up about 13 meg of RAM. It depends on how much you are monitoring. If you have a server which is a SharePoint, an IIS, an Exchange, whatever, right? Then there's more processes that will basically be. Okay.
So you have to physically install the agent.
Okay. Question is, do you have to physically install the agent? Most of the time, no. Okay. So there is a way. Right? So if you go to administration, device management, you can actually push agents up from the server. Okay? The only rule here is that the communication between that server and this operations manager server is not interrupted. Interrupted means firewall ports are open, right? The servers are both part of the domain, right? And so on. If that server is not part of the domain, it's a workload. It's not to say we cannot install an agent. It's just that we cannot push it. Right? We have to install it manually. Right? And then we have to use certificates for authentication. Because for security reasons, the product team decided that the servers must always be mutually authenticated. Okay? So you can actually push it. Yeah?
In our case, actually, we have different teams managing the database and SharePoint. So we manage the SharePoint, we don't own the database. So we go on and monitor the service.
Okay, good question. The question here is that the SharePoint guys and the SQL guys are different people. So how would that work? Okay, the nice thing is that you notice in administration, I have user roles, right? So you can actually assign different roles for different people. So you can actually assign roles to the SQL guys. Right? So let me just do a quick one. Okay, so I can call this the SQL guys. I can add let's say we add this guy. Okay, and you notice that these are the groups which you can see, right? So for example, I'm going to scope him only to the SQL, let's say, SQL computers, right? And I can even scope it such that he can only run certain tasks, and I can also scope it such that he only sees certain views. So he only sees the SQL views, right? So you can actually scope it such that you have what we call delegated rights. So SQL guys, when they open the console, they only see SQL. SharePoint guys, you open the console, you only see SharePoint, right? If you need both, then you see both. Right? Okay. I'll take one last question before we go for a break.
You mentioned just now you monitor end-to-end, right?
Yes.
You monitor everything in between, even the networks.
Yeah, okay, good question. So the way monitor everything in network. So the answer is yes. Operations Manager supports SNMP version 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so as long as the device is SNMP capable, you can actually configure it. So you notice that, oops, let me just open up the console again. When I configure an agent, a discovery wizard, I have the capability of selecting network devices. Okay, so if I select network device, I would basically specify the IP address, right, and the community SNMP community string. Okay, the only thing here is that Microsoft does not have a management pack for the network device, right? So since Microsoft does not have a management pack for a network device, you have to create your own monitors and rules. Okay, so there is an alternative. If you don't want to create your own monitors or rules, right, then you need to go and look for companies that is already developed. Right? For example, we work with a company called Jalasoft, and they developed management packs for Cisco, Juniper, F5, 3Com devices. So you buy those management packs from them, and they have all the rules. So it's not that we have to buy, right? It's just that we buy so that we don't have to create. Yeah, that's the only thing. But if you just want availability, just to know whether the device is up and down, then all you have to do is just import in, configure the SNMP device, and that's availability already.
If you want deeper, you can buy them.
You want deeper, you can create your own rules, or you can buy. Because when you create your rules, you notice, I'll just show you the wizard very quickly. Right? Let's say I create a monitor. So you notice that you can create a monitor based on all these different areas. So based on SNMP, it could be an SNMP trap. So all you need to get is the SNMP MIP ID, key that in, right? And then you'll pick up the ID. Or you can do a probe. Probe is if you want to do a performance, right? So you can do a probe, repeated event. So it basically does an interval to do maybe the network packet of the interface or something like that, right? This is the same wizard that you go to create any rule or monitor that you want. So you notice that you can do monitor based on WMI, based on log files, based on Windows events, services, performance counters. You can even run your own scripts. So if you have a VB script and it has certain outputs, right, it can output back that into your operations manager also. Okay?